keke, jukumu letu jamia kupinga ufisadi. Vijana tukashikane tupinge ufisadi. Twaibia mitihani hata ndugu zetu sisi, wadogo wasobaini kesho ni yao na sisi. Wanapita mitihani na hizo akili finyi. Vijana tukashikane tupinge ufisadi. Kusoma kumeteleza, ChatGPT twakuza, hata herufi jaliza twanakili kuuliza. Sasa hivi twajikuza, ama sisi aiviza. Vijana tukashikane tupinge ufisadi. Kwa hapa naishiliza na wahusia vijana, kwa sauti ninapaza kwa ufisadi hapana. Nchi yetu twakoleza maadili ya kufana. Vijana tukashikane tupinge ufisadi. Shukran.
Asante sana, makofi kwa Fatma. Mengine? By the way, EACC has established over 1,000 integrity clubs across the country, and Fatma is a member of the integrity clubs. She has been a member from high school since her days at Bahari Girls here in Kilifi. So there's hope for the future. Without further ado, I'd like to hand over the next part of the program to Director Mue to take us through the next few minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Ben Kitili, for that first part. My name, as you have been told, is Jackson Mue. I'm the Director in charge of Field Services and Coordination, EACC. Allow me to lay out some protocol before we start the speeches. The chief guest for today, who is the Secretary Chief Executive Officer of EACC, Mr. Twali Barak, the Governor of Nandi County, His Excellency Stephen Sang, our local Member of Parliament, Mr. Howen Baya, who is also the Deputy Leader of Majority in the National Assembly, the Vice Chancellor of Pwani University, invited key discussants who will be introduced before they take their session, other distinguished invited guests, students of Pwani University, good morning. Vice Chancellor, it's a pleasure to partner with you in undertaking this public lecture today. Before I invite the first speaker, allow me just to mention a few people who are just accompanying the EACC's CEO, and I just want quickly just to recognize the directors who are accompanying this CEO EACC. The Director of Preventive Services, you can just stand and wave. That is Mr. Vincent Okongo, Director of Preventive Services, EACC. Director of Legal Services, that is Mr. David To. The Regional Manager, Upper Coast Regional Office. From EACC perspective, is our host because he's in charge of Kilifi County. That is Mr. Ben Mulei. The Regional Manager, Lower Coast, based in Mombasa, that is Mr. Mark Diema. We have Assistant Director, Legal Support, Mr. Stephen Karuga. EACC staff, just stand and wave. So colleague CEO has not come alone. Now allow me to move to the first speaker. In undertaking this public lecture, the EACC has partnered with Pwani University and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. UNODC is represented in this meeting by Ms. Jennifer Ngidhu. Ms. Jennifer Ngidhu, I invite you to make a short statement before we proceed with the program. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you very much, Director Mue. CEO, allow me to adopt the protocols that have been laid out. As has been introduced, my name is Jennifer Gidu from UNODC. UNODC is the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. This is the agency that mandated by the Community of Nations, and this is all UN member states to work on issues on drugs and crime. One of the crime areas we work on is corruption, and one of our distinguished partners is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. We do this by supporting the implementation of the UN Convention Against Corruption. I know you might be hearing about it for the first time, but this is the treaty that has been developed by all UN member states to guide us on how to address corruption. And this is both preventive work and law enforcement work. As I stand here today, I can't help but reminisce CEO as well as Governor Sang. Growing up, I've been a leader as well. Back at Alliance High School, where I was a captain, I was known to be very strict. In fact, I think in some quarters I was feared more than the teachers because I did not take any nonsense. And for me, values and integrity were number one. I left my portfolio then being one of the most memorable captain in charge of discipline in that school. Moving on to the University of Nairobi, where Governor Sang was at Parklands with us at the time, I remember clashing with the SONU leadership from main campus at that time because they'd asked us to support their demonstrations, which we did not agree with. And Governor, you know this, Paki is known to, that's the School of Law at Parklands campus, is known to take a different route when it comes to demonstrations and the principles that govern public protest. So I remember very fiercely standing against Babu, who was the chair of SONU then, and telling him, if you want our support, we will go to court, but we will not destroy public property. And these principles have led me to where I am today, where I serve the community of nations by promoting and supporting, enhancing the capacity of institutions such as EACC and offering technical assistance where needed in these things. Through this work, we also work with a lot on integrity education. And one of the questions that we get, CEO, from young people are always asking us, does integrity pay? And that's why this particular discussion was very important for us. And from my own personal testament, and I know the discussant who will be in the panel discussion will also tell you that integrity does pay. I know corruption pays, but integrity pays in the long run. That is our message for you young people here today, for comrades, and remain in power. Comrades, power? Still there. Thank you very much for inviting us. Wishing you a fruitful discussion.
Thank you, Jennifer. Allow me to transition to the next speaker. The next speaker is the host, the Vice Chancellor of Pwani University, Professor James Kaindi. Kindly, sir, welcome and make your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to see all of you here this morning. Mr. Twali Mbarak, the Secretary and CEO of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, His Excellency Stephen Arap Sang, Governor Nandi County, Honorable Owen Bayer, the Member of Parliament for Kilifi North, and also the Deputy Leader of Majority in our National Assembly, all the Deputy Vice Chancellors of Pwani University that are here, led by Professor Guyo, Professor Mlewa, Dr. Asma Awad from WWF Kenya, Mr. Linus Kekai of Royal Media Services, our development partners, the executive management directors and staff of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, my colleagues, the academic staff of Pwani University, Madam Jennifer Githu, representing United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, all the discussants that are here, our esteemed students of Pwani University, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. On behalf of the Pwani University Council, the Senate, Management Board, staff, and students of Pwani University, I wish to wholeheartedly welcome you to Pwani University and indeed to this public lecture on youth and governance in Kenya that zeroes in on the question, does integrity matter? I feel really honored and privileged for the entire Pwani University fraternity for having had two very inspiring and thought-provoking lectures that touch on our daily lives. I am talking about yesterday when we had a talk on the problems that are attendant with the use of alcohol, drugs, and substances, which was delivered by Her Excellency the Second Lady, Pastor Dr. Dorcas Rigathi. And today, we are having another talk here on ethics and corruption, which is being delivered by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Guru, the CEO of EACC himself. What better honor can we have when we have the entire CEO coming here to Pwani University, having left all 42 other universities and chosen Pwani to be the place where we are having this talk. Thank you, sir, for choosing Pwani. Thank you for your staff members and everybody who has been involved in making sure that we are part and parcel of your journey of changing the attitudes and minds of Kenyans so that we embrace that which is right and we do away with that which is wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we take these two lectures very seriously, the one on issues of drugs, alcohol, and other substances, and this one on ethics and integrity, then I believe that 75% of the problems that afflict our society will be solved. If we do away with drugs, alcohol, and other substances, and we embrace ethics and integrity, I think we are much, much closer to heaven than ever before. So I urge each and every one of us in this room and those who are listening out there to take these two issues with the seriousness they deserve. As you all know, academic integrity means acting in a way that is honest, fair, respectful, and responsible in your studies and academic work. It means applying these values in your own work and also when you engage with the work and contributions of others. These values are expected of both staff and students, and in this regard, ethics are very important to help us run the education system. Allow me to really single out the Pwani University student that did that study about corruption and how you could see that the people who are qualified were not able to be employed. They ended up employing a quack, and the result was death of a patient. So these are real life examples, and they show that it is important to basically do the right thing, even if it is more difficult than doing the wrong thing. So when it comes to academic integrity, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about meaningful and concerted effort to ensure concern for human dignity, honesty, trust, fairness, it's on, but now it's clear. Sorry about that. Maybe because I'm talking about ethics and integrity, the spirits that be don't want me to continue. Nonetheless, I was saying that when it comes to academic integrity, we are talking about the meaningful and concerted effort to ensure concern for human dignity, honesty, trust, fairness, truthfulness, accuracy, respect, and responsibility in teaching, research, and community engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, today isn't my day for giving a lecture. I only had one thing to do, and that is the humble task and duty of welcoming you to Pwani University, and that's what I now wish to do. Karibuni sana waalikwa nyote, karibu sana mgeni wetu wa heshima, na tunatarajia ya kwamba tutapata mengi mema kutoka kwako na uwasi wako, kwa sababu tunajua wewe hupendi mambo ya kwenda chini chini. Kwa hivyo sisi tunataka kufanya kila kitu above board, and we are very happy to have you here. So thank you very much and welcome you all. Let us basically begin to practice that which we are learning. Shukran sana.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. I think those who are looking at the voice, you can deal with it. Thank you, VC, for those remarks. It's on. At this point, we want to invite the Member of Parliament for Kilifi North, the Honorable Owen Bayer, who is also the Deputy Leader of Majority in the National Assembly, to come and give his short statement. Welcome, Mheshimiwa.
Okay. Thank you very much, Director, the CEO of Ethics and Anti-Corruption, Your Excellency Governor Sang, Vice Chancellor Kahindi. I want to ride on the protocols that have already been established to say just a few things. And thank you very much for the invite, CEO Twali Mbarak, to speak in this important gathering. And I would like to say this on the question whether integrity matters. The question is, does integrity matter? Yes, it does. I would like to say this. Several years ago, when I was a student at Kenyatta University, and they were launching the new identity cards, the current ones. And I went to a place called Embakasi. You know, when you're at Kenyatta University, you go to Embakasi to pick your ID. So I went to Embakasi, I picked my brand new national ID. I put it in my wallet. I remember I was wearing a Savco jeans. It used to be the in thing then. And I boarded a matatu from Kayole, and I was coming to town. When I got to town, I realized that I don't have my wallet, and therefore I do not have my ID, my new ID, as I was dropping out of the matatu. So now when you're in town, you don't have an ID, and you know those days students, you get your money through Post Bank. You know, ile kitabu ile, those of you who lived in our era. And you must have an ID for you to withdraw money. So when I went to the bank to get some money so that I can go back to Embakasi to report that I have lost my ID, the people at Post Bank told me I cannot withdraw money, I need to have an ID. But the guy who was there told me that if I do something, I can get my money. You know, but there are the guys who are holding the money, because I didn't have money. The money they have in the bank, but they're telling me if I do something, I can get money. But another person told me, no, don't worry about these guys. Go to the police station and get an abstract. If you get an abstract, then you can withdraw your money. So I went to the police station, and the police person told me, nikifanya kitu kidogo, nitapata abstract. So I didn't have that money because now I was at the university. There's a post bank and there's a police station, and they told me I have to give them something for me to get the abstract. At the bank, they're telling me if I have to get money, I have to do something. Now that really affected me. By the time I was getting my ID to withdraw money from my account, I had really suffered. I'm sorry to tell you why really integrity matters. That if you do not bank on this country moving or sliding towards integrity, the person that suffers most are the young people. The young people. Because you will not have the money to get your way round. When you're looking for a job in this country, and if the people that are supposed to have the jobs and give you the jobs are not people of integrity, the people that suffer most are the people that are seeking jobs. And I am sure here, 1 or 2 years after, young people here will be seeking jobs. And when you seek jobs in a country which has not invested in integrity, we will suffer the most as young people. So we are duty bound as young people. We are duty bound as young people to insist and to fight that every person that is in this country is a man of integrity or a woman of integrity. That way, we will make life for yourselves very smooth. So as we proceed in this very important lecture, as we listen, it is time to take action. Because someone defined integrity as doing the right thing, however difficult it is to do that right thing. That is what integrity is about. Doing the right thing, however difficult it is to do that right thing. And there are consequences. When you're a man of integrity, there are consequences, sometimes very serious consequences. Very serious consequences. But then the choice between corruption and integrity, we build a great nation when we flow on the integrity river. Like we saw in the skit that we have here, little corruption that happened there led to the death of that lady who was pregnant. So corruption leads to death. I remember I listened to the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who said that in a day this country loses around 2 billion shillings to corruption. 2 billion shillings to corruption. That means that the country becomes poorer every day by 2 billion shillings. And for me, that is something that we need to look at, because we get to where we are as a country because of that. Professor James Kahindi talked about what we had here yesterday. I was part of the discussion yesterday here about drugs. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you that the reason why drugs are where they are and why many people, young people in this town and in Kilifi, consume drugs is because they are available. And they are available because some corrupt people somewhere have made them available. And they are destroying lives in this town. So the upshot of it is that the drugs that are in town, there's a direct correlation between drugs and corruption. It is only corrupt officers, corrupt judicial officers that have allowed us to be in the situation that we are. Today, this country, and if you had the second lady speaking yesterday, we want to start investing heavily in rehabilitation centers. Instead of building schools, now we are putting money to build rehabilitation centers for people who have been affected by drugs. But you try to find out, why is it that we are in this situation that we are? You look at the whole of it, you see corruption reigns, and that's why we have the issues of drugs. I am one of those people that, although I support people that go to rehabilitation, but before I take someone to rehabilitation, I ask myself one question: why should I invest in rehabilitation? We can invest more in fighting the drug menace other than the rehabilitation. But our first call is to fight corruption in this country. So, Twali Mbarak and your team, you have an uphill task in this country. A lot of the issues that we have, a lot of the problems that we have in this country are as a result of corruption. You are a good outfit, you have a great leader, and we want to see more results. A lot of the times, the institutions that we have today, institutions that we have, even hospitals, are not doing very well. And you find yourself, you ask yourself, why aren't hospitals, why is our health system dying? Even NHIF and even the new thing that we are putting together, you realize that institutions are not functioning because corruption has permeated within the ranks and file of those institutions. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have this great day today. We must secure our country. We must secure our country. And the first call of duty in securing this country is to fight corruption and bring integrity into the fabric of the nation. That way, this country will move forward. I want to thank you. I wish us to have a... I'll be here listening to the discussion, and I would like to ask fellow students here to listen and enjoy the talk, but more importantly, take action from here and fight corruption, bring integrity in this country. I thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa, for those words. At this point, before we transit to bring the chief guest, allow me to invite a shairi, which will be done by two public awareness, education and public awareness officers from EACC, Ms. Charlotte Walongo and Zura Mzee. Come and bring your shairi before we bring the chief guest.
Vijana 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 vijana.
Mkurugenzi mkuu wa Tume ya Maadili na Kupambana na Ufisadi, mkuu wa Chuo cha Pwani, wageni mashuhuri, itifaki zote zikihifadhiwa, kutoka Idara ya Elimu na Uhamasishaji wa Umma, Tume ya Maadili na Kupambana na Ufisadi, tunawaletea shairi. Naam, naitwa Charlotte Walongo.
Na mimi naitwa Zuhura Mzee.
Bi Zuhura.
Naam.
Ni shughuli gani hii iliyomleta mkuu wa tume na wengine mashuhuri hapa leo?
Bi Charlotte, ukweli ni kwamba leo hii viongozi wote hawa wamekusanyika hapa ili kuwa na mazungumzo kuhusiana na swala zima la uadilifu na uongozi, haswa kwa vijana wetu. Lakini katika mchakato wote ule tunajiuliza tu hii leo, je, maadili yana umuhimu wote, Bi Charlotte?
Na ndio maana kichwa cha shairi letu ni vijana mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa. Vijana twawasalimu, salamu zipokeeni. Kwa kweli tunayo hamasa kuwapeni. Kutunga imelazimu, twaomba tusikizeni. Vijana mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa.
Tumekumbwa na tatizo, suluhu twahitajini. Ufisadi kawa tuzo, maadili twapuzani. Ufisadi ni kikwazo na ni janga nchini. Vijana
mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa. Mmekuwa watiriri, chuoni mnazembea. Vyeti gushi mekithiri, watu wajitengenezea. Msambe ni umahiri, nchi ya wategemea. Vijana mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa.
Muwapo hapa chuoni, masomo zingatieni. Sijitie mtegoni, kubeti kushirikini. Wala siwe hayawani, karo tawatapelini.
Vijana mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa. Hima jipurukusheni, uongozi kufuatia. Mabarazani nendeni, maoni yenu vijana kutoa. Msikae vijiweni nyasi kujitafunia. Vijana, mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa.
Vijana, jukumikeni ili haki kutetea. Dhulma ichukieni, maovu kuyakemea. Pamoja tushikaneni, nchi kuendelea.
Vijana, mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa. Vijana, tuumukeni na sauti zisikike. Walio uongozini tudai wawajibike. Tena iweni jasiri, fisadi tuamulike.
Vijana, mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa. Muingiapo ofisini, musiyapende magendo. Taifa tumikieni, tena kwa wingi upendo. Sheria zingatieni, ishara ya uzalendo.
Vijana, mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa. Chini kalamu twaweka,
wasia tumewapeni.
Sipende mbaya hulka,
maadili kumbatieni.
Yenu zamu ikifika,
awaongoze manani.
Vijana, mna nafasi, taifa kulikomboa. Kazi kwenu.
Asanteni.
Thank you, Charlotte and Zura. We now move to the next session as we bring the speeches to a close, and we now want to bring the chief guest. But before I just invite the Secretary Chief Executive Officer of EACC to come and make his speech, allow me just to introduce him by sharing a short bio of him. Mr. Twalib Barak joined the Kenya Army in 1984 as a cadet and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1985. He served in the military for 15 years and undertook several assignments as an infantry officer and in the field of military intelligence. He also served as a United Nations military observer in Western Sahara and a United Nations mission for Western Sahara, and was awarded a United Nations peacekeeping medal. In 1999, Mr. Barak retired from the military, having attained the rank of major, and joined the former National Security Intelligence Service, currently known as National Intelligence Service. He undertook several assignments, including head of intelligence analysis and senior instructor at the National Intelligence Academy. He is credited with the training and mentoring some of the top intelligence officers in Kenya. In 2006, Mr. Barak joined the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission as a principal officer in charge of intelligence and played a key role in creating the intelligence department, which is in charge of undercover operations. In 2010, Mr. Barak left Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission to join Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KenGen, as the security and integrity manager. He was the first chairman of the Association of Corporate Industrial Security Management Professionals. He is also the first person from East and Central Africa to attain the Certified Security Management Professional from the International Security Management Institute, United Kingdom. Mr. Barak is credited with mentoring many security professionals in the corporate and critical infrastructure security. On 11th January 2019, Mr. Barak was appointed as the Secretary Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for a 6-year term. He is also an executive committee member of the International Association of Anti-Corruption Authorities, which is created under the United Nations Convention Against Corruption to strengthen international cooperation in fighting and preventing corruption. Mr. Barak is also the chair of the National Council on Administration of Justice Working Committee on Anti-Corruption. Barak's life in the military, intelligence, and corporate world has given him opportunities to undertake several courses in combat intelligence, security intelligence, strategic intelligence, investigation, corporate security, and security of critical infrastructure. He has undertaken these courses in Kenya, the United States of America, United Kingdom, Germany, Israel, South Africa, among others. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and Sociology and Masters in Armed Conflict and Peace Studies from the University of Nairobi. In 2019, he was conferred by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya with the Order of the Chief of the Burning Spear for distinguished service to the nation. For continued excellent service to the nation, in 2023, he was conferred again by His Excellency the President the Moran of the Golden Art of Kenya. Allow me and join me to invite the Secretary Chief Executive Officer of the EACC, Mr. Twale Bara, to come and make his remarks. Thank you. Welcome, see you.
We can sit down. The Vice Chancellor of Pwani University, Professor James Kahindi, His Excellency the Governor of Nandi, Mr. Stephen Arap Sang, my Member of Parliament, and the Leader of the Majority, Honorable Owen Baya, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, the representative from the UNODC, Ms. Jennifer Githu, colleagues from the EACC, distinguished guests, students, the media, Amjambo. There's something that he did not talk about, which I think I will add up. He has never said where I come from. When you guys cause havoc and you go on strike, my mother suffers. It's just across Kibaoni hapo, hiyo nyumba gorofa. So when you riot, just know that the CEO's mother is here. Let us not be very, very rowdy, because she's an old lady and you cause havoc to her. First of all, I would like to thank the university for facilitating this wonderful mission. And I'm happy that I can see up to the horizon there that the hall is full. And it tells you, the VC, that maybe we need to add a bigger hall, because when you have big functions, we may end up having some challenges. It's a very interesting subject. We came out with this idea that can we do something for the youth? And we talked with the UNODC, we talked to the university management, and I said, look here, this country, it is said about 65% of the Kenyans fall under the category of youth. For myself, when I was in the military, I had the first experience of the youth. The military is full of youth, because you cannot have an old man walking 40 kilometers a night with these old knees and breathing system. Some have taken some funny stuff. So it's the youth that forms the bulky of the military. And my 15 years in the military gave me a very first glimpse of what the youth can do. All the military battles you see, as much as the general get the credit, it is the young soldiers who start coming out with the ideas of how to go about it in terms of battle planning. I've also worked closely with the intelligence. And in the intelligence, you see a lot of things that are not supposed to be seen. So I have that experience. And I also ended up working for 9 good years in the corporate world. I worked with one of the most prestigious companies, Kenya Electricity Generating Company. And that experience was very good. But before that, I had actually worked with the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission for 4 good years. At that time, it was contractual. And I did 4 years. I was the architect of forming the undercover investigation unit, because we knew that corruption is a very, very secretive criminal offense. I keep on saying it's the only offense on earth that has got no complainant. You know, if your house is broken into, you'll come and say, look, walivunja grill, wakaingia hapo, wakachukua TV, wakatoa hapo, you show some tangible evidence. In corruption, you don't see anything. People have done a big deal, they have stolen a lot of money, and you'll find them in churches, in mosques. And I keep on telling people that this is a very interesting country, because when we do investigation in government agencies, and we take the minutes that started that particular project. When you go to the minutes, preliminary, the meeting started with a word of prayer. These are thieves planning to steal, but they always go with a word of prayer. I'm not trying to ridicule the imam and the pastor, but that is the pattern in the country. All investigation when you do, and we tell them, can you give us the minutes that you had for this particular project? Go there, presence, chairman, member, what, preliminary. The meeting started with a word of prayers, but these are thieves planning to how to steal. So the big question is this: the youth and governance in Kenya. Does integrity matter? A famous American billionaire said that when you are employing somebody for a job, you key in 3 things. This is somebody called Warren Buffett. He's a very rich man. Said you look at integrity, you look at intelligence. Sometimes you can remove the word intelligence and say competence, and you look at the motivation of that person. Is he somebody who can work hard? Is he somebody who can deliver? When you interview that person, you'll see all the indicators. He tells you, if that person does not have integrity, don't even bother to employ that person. What is happening with our youth today? Our youth get mobilized. I'm not hitting at the governor, I'm not hitting at my MP, I'm hitting at the political environment in the country. Today in this country, we are moving to a stage that if you don't have money, you have no business to be in politics. I don't know whether it is true, Governor Sang. Governor Sang is a very young and very youthful governor, and I think you won the seat because the youth were tired of the old, and they said, tutachukua hii kijana hata kama hana pesa. And I can see something that is very unique about you. When you came in here, I asked my officers, Governor amefika? Sema yako ndani. But I'm trying to see indicators that shows a governor is around. There are some indicators that gives you a picture, iko mkubwa ako ndani hapa. You will find 6-7 Prados, you will find a chase car, you will find the security men, because they want to impress the governor. They push people aside here and there. So I never saw those indicators. Then when I walked into the holding room, I found the governor seated. Humility. He came with one Prado. That is humility. The same with my MP. I just found him inside. I called him last night. I said, please, we want you to come in, because there are 3 caps you are putting on. You are an ex-staff of the university. You are the local area of MP, and the CEO is under you. So please don't let me down. And he said, I have a lot of work. We had a long function yesterday, but I will come on and attend the function. I'm talking about the youth and the politicians. A research was done in the world, and a very disturbing trend is going on in the world. It's not only in Kenya, but across the globe, that around the world, they say that corruption has become the primary mechanism by which power and politics function. The politics is the engine, the fuel for politics is corruption. So, who can address this problem? If we have 65% of the youth in this country, of Kenyans in this are youth, the way those ladies were giving the mashairi, that you sink this country or you save it. It is you that you have a future. Us, you know, I don't know about the life expectancy of Kenya, but in religion they say when you're over 60, you are living on bonus. So I have a year to go to be living on bonus. You people, you still have a future. You need to have a family, you need to have employment. But how will that future be if the political environment and other factors that contribute to a country of integrity are not observed. And there's something that my MP said. He said he's throwing the ball to EACC to address corruption. Corruption will not be addressed by one institution. Corruption will be addressed in what you call, if people stop misusing the youth, if people capture the electoral process because of money and influence, and if we weaken our institutions that are not strengthened, and we are talking of a framework of a triangle. I don't know whether, Professor, you teach criminology here. You should introduce. Criminology is a very interesting subject. There's a triangle in criminology which talks about what fuels crime. There's opportunity. Wewe umetoka nyumbani kwako umeenda harusi hujafunga mlango na mtu anajua uko na madhahabu dhahabu, anaona bibi yako akitoka amevaa madhahabu, they will go in because there's an opportunity and you did not lock. There is the motivation and there is the reward. If you curtail one, that one address crime. Likewise, for this country to address corruption, there's a triangle which talks of the societal values. At the top is societal values. On my left, the political culture. And then on my right, the institutions. Let's go to societal values. This country, every floor must have a grill. Because if you don't put grill, what happens? Huh? Yeah. I went to the US, I went to New York, then I moved around. I never saw grill. Then I told that guy, he's a Kenyan, I said, iko ile mahali tulisoma geography, yeah, North America. There's a shanty area here, it's called Harlem. So uko tanyongwa, but twende. I want to see it. Let's go. And we went. We got a very rowdy taxi driver. You could tell you are going to somewhere not good. When we went there, it's the only place in New York I saw grill. Because there, if you don't put grill, people will come in. Societal values. When you have a country that when you go to wash your car, you have to sit there because our jamaa wataiba jack. Ama wataiba spare tire. Are we getting the problem now? Societal value. Somebody told me, a lady told me that even in the church, when you want to go and help yourself, you have to carry your bag. If you leave it, you may come back and not find it, the bag there. No, that's a place of worship. Sisi Waislamu saa ingine ukiingia msikitini, viatu lazima ufiche fiche, ukitoka unaweza kuwa umeenda. It's cultural. It's cultural. We have to address our culture. Some of the things that we do. There are places in Kenya, if you have a problem with your vehicle, you can leave it, go to the nearest town, buy spare parts, come back, and you'll find your car intact. Are we together? If you have your car and you're deep in the Maasai land, then you get a very serious mechanical problem. You leave your Land Rover there, go to Narok town, buy spares, and come back. Will you find your car or not? You'll find it intact. If that happens in Mombasa or Kiambu, where there are churches and mosques after every 2 meters, will you find your car? Values. You see, the urban area, the values have been eroded. In the rural areas, the values are. So we need to restore the value for the youth. When it comes to political culture, I don't want to ask Mheshimiwa, but I asked one person. I was addressing a forum last week, but one, with judges in this country. And there was a politician. Then I asked him, how is the culture, the political culture of this country? Is it civilized, moderate, or crude? He told me, very crude. He said, if you say crude, you are being unfair. It's very crude. You mobilize goons, you mobilize what? For you to scare people not to come and vote. So all that, it contributes to the cycle of the corruption. If you look at institutions, institutions must be well funded. They must be having enough people, enough personnel. because at the end of the day, the institutions are meant to have an enforcement capacity. But the youth may ask me, what is corruption? Corruption has got no strict definition as per dictionary. It has so many ways of defining it. It's like wizi. Jamaa ameiba, amepora, amenyakua. You know, all kind of words. Corruption is that when you are given a responsibility and trust, and then you misuse it, whether it's for your personal gain or for other people's gain, that becomes corruption. So, when you see a university, when you have a head of department is from this part of the country, within 2 years, imejaa watu kutoka area yake, that is corruption. Tribalism is corruption. Negative ethnicity is corruption. When you do, when you are entitled to, or you are given something to do and you believe that even absconding from office is corruption. Mwa Kenya, hii photocopy mnafanya hii when you go to exams, you find everybody, if it's a lady, in a miniskirt, because the answers are somewhere in between. You pretend you are scratching yourself and you are looking at the answers. Or if it is, all that is corruption. The integrity of the academic standard of this country must be safeguarded. Because ask anyone, if you go abroad and you say you are from Kenya and you give your academic certificate, people respect you. But this aspect of every time you want a shortcut, people have got degrees, PhDs, when you ask them, what did you do as your thesis? You know, nilimesahau. How can you forget something you've been writing for 3 years before you graduated? Or you've done masters? What were you doing? I was doing masters in conflict management. What was your subject matter? Unajua ni zamani, mimi nimesahau. Ukisikia hiyo maneno ni zamani, unajua tu hii kuna mtu alimwandikia hapo kando akamletea. You have a PhD, you cannot stand in a university for 10 minutes to give a lecture about what you did. That tells you there's a problem. And it all touches on integrity. So let me take you through the issue of the categorization of corruption. In corruption, we have what we call the grand corruption, which is mainly administered by the political elites. And then you have administrative corruption, which is this one Honorable Owen Bayer was saying. He was asked his ID card to give money. You are stopped by the policeman. Pale taskis, si wanakaa pale kazi yao kuchukua hengo tu. If there's a policeman here, he can go and report, say the CEO knows that you are collecting bribes there. Hapo next to taskis. Harassing tuk-tuk, 100 bob, 50 bob, that's administrative corruption. But then there's this big question. Is there difference between grand corruption and administrative corruption? The question is this. When you say administrative corruption is petty corruption, look critically at the corruption of the police. A policeman will see a matatu that is not worthy to be on the road, and he will take a bribe of 200 shilling or 500 shilling, leave that car, move. That car, when it rolls, it kills how many people? 8 people, injuring another 8 permanently. Would you call that petty corruption? It's not petty corruption. It's still grand corruption. We have what you call kleptocracy, where you have government officials who decide how government projects are to be done, not because they are priority to the country, because these projects have got high-end value of corruption returns. Maybe road construction. Amjasikia kuna barabara ilikuwa zinaandikwa mahindi zamani. Naomba barabara inajengwa mzuri, lakini mali naenda hakuna watu, ni ng'ombe tu. So the villagers decide they use maize to dry on the road instead of vehicles passing. Somebody did that because there was a good kickback in that project. We have the strategic corruption, where government actually weaponizes corrupt for its foreign policy. So if we look at the youth and politics, You are 65% of the Kenyans. Politicians, they come and dish out money to you. I want to give you a very radical suggestion, and I know the media is here, but I won't fear talking about it. The best way to do now, because we are heading to a situation where people want to use money to get political seats. And you know very well that money, if Governor, I'm not hitting you, but I just give a very practical example. I have spent 200 million, because it's not easy to be a governor. Governor is a very, very lucrative post. In fact, they say it's the third senior post from the president and deputy president. Even the CS, they are not as endowed as governors. You know, they are mini kings in wherever they are. So everybody, if you look at when the Constitution was enacted, most people went to senator because they had not known what is a governor. After 5 years, most of them made a U-turn. They wanted to become a governor. Waligundua ile mtungi asali haiko kwa senator, haiko kwa governor. So they made a U-turn. The third election of 2022, now people even risk selling their property, farms, wanting to become a governor. So if you have spent 200 million and you are governor, and in the next 5 years there's another election, what do you think this person will do? Will he serve you or he will accumulate? Accumulation. Whom did he give money to? Mainly the youth. Now he's back stealing left, center, and right. It's not about Governor Sang, but we're saying quite a number of them. They want to return back their money. Secondly, they want to have reserve for the 2027 election. Thirdly, in case they are defeated, they don't live miserable life. At least they can sustain good lifestyle. So they have a triple strategy of how to survive. So what you can do as a youth, and I'm telling you as a CEO EACC, when they bring that money, kula kabisa. Kula kabisa. Usione haya. Tell him you are the only one we are going to vote for you. Don't worry. When it comes to voting, don't vote from your appetite. Vote from your head. You will achieve two objectives. You will get the right leadership, and you will create a deterrence. They will know this strategy ya pesa haifanyi kazi. Are we together? Then you will find your county developing very well. You will not be forced to go to Mombasa looking for a job. You will not be forced to move from Nandi to go to Nairobi or Eldoret to look for a job, because you have a county that is creating wealth since you have a focused leader. So let's agree on that. That when these people bring money, kula kabisa, musione huruma. Kula. When it comes to voting, just vote at the right person, and you tell him, look here, we knew there's a danger that when you come to this seat, our first mission will be to recoup your money. So we were scared of you. Youth are more focused, and I'm not blaming the old people, but youth are very innovative. Youth are risk takers. Youth understand the problem of fellow youth. So you can balance. You balance when you get a youth on this side, you can get an old man to moderate the youth. You know, just wengine vijana pia mnakuwa na speed mbio kabisa. So you may require another politician here, maybe a senator, and then he moderates the governor moderates the senator, and it balances. In France, when they vote for, they have two levels of elections. When they vote for the prime minister, the mayor, they vote opposite party, deliberate. They say they don't want them to go and collude. And you have political science here? Yeah. You know about Machiavelli. Machiavelli said, for the prince to enjoy the food, the storeman and the cook must be enemies. Because if they are friends, they'll be colluding on how to steal food from the king, and the king will be starving. So make sure that you have that balancing of one side can countercheck the other side. In the challenges of the youth, The youth today, you have very big problems. Multitude of problems. And I'll give an example of myself. You've been told I have worked for 40 years. Most of you here, when I was employed, there was no even imagination from your parents that they were going to have a boy or a girl. Biologically, maybe you are even somewhere, I don't know, the backbone or whatever. But you are not there. Why? How did I join the military at the age of 18? Because there were a lot of opportunities. During our time, Honorable, the Vice Chancellor will tell you, you had an option. Do you want to go to Form 4, Form 5? If you get a C+ and above, government agencies are there calling you for jobs. They even come to schools and tell you, if you want to join Kenya Power, don't go to A level. As long as you have passed physics and chemistry and mathematics, what we shall do, we will employ you and we have a college at Kenya Power, you'll be trained. KRA, the same. Kenya Ports Authority, it used to be called Kenya Cargo Handling, the same. Kenya Railways, Bamburi, all these places. Today, there are no opportunities. People come with all kinds of degrees. I sit in interviews. I saw one job applicant, he had about 5 degrees, including one of theology. I think apart from the science subject, he also wanted spiritual intervention. So he did theology also. People come with PhDs, there are no jobs. What will help the youth is the honesty and hard work. You come out of the university, you can even be an engineer, but be ready to start maybe your laundry business. Because honesty and hard work helps a lot. And I'll give you a good example. I have a small farm in Narani, about 5 acres. So I was told, go and get somebody from up country, he will do a good job for you. And I employed a young man. The first year he came, we harvested cassava, everything. Now, after 1 year, he became a kijana ya area hiyo. He got a beautiful Giriama girl. Informally, me, I was not aware. Then we planted cassava, everything. So I asked him, George, sasa hii mihogo mbona haijakuwa tayari? Anambia mzee, iko ugonjwa umeingia hapa mbaya sana. Ugonjwa hii, I look at the cassava leaves, everything is intact. Then he tells me, hii iko chini, unajua hii sijui inaitwa nini ile kikwetu inaitwa. So for 1 year, I did not harvest anything from the cassava. The second year, the same. I asked some people, but I see a lot of cassava, Kilifi pale inauzwa, huku pale karibu na Mombasa Cement, pale kina mama they are staying with. Then I chased him away. When I chased him away, the new guy when he came, I said, toa hii mihogo yote hii ni mbaya, niliambiwa imeoza yote hii, it had some problem. Namba mzee, hii mihogo ni mzuri sana. Lakini ile kitu ilifanyika, huyu jamaa alikuwa anang'oa mihogo from the sides, anatoboa akitoa mihogo, ile mti inakaa intact. You see, creativity of dishonesty. Yeah? Not creativity on production. So, if you become honest, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Utasota, but one day there'll be an opening for you. But if you become dishonest, there's a problem. And it's so easy to spot somebody who is dishonest. Criminal cartels, you can be easily recruited to those cartels because you are taught or you are convinced that you can have easy returns of money. Substance abuse, Honorable the Member of Parliament talked about it, is a very, very big problem in this country. And let me reverse back to the issue that I even talked about it yesterday. We were having a meeting with the National Council of Administrative Justice, where we were being hosted by the Chief Justice, and it was opened by Honorable Kindiki and the Honorable Attorney General. I said and I insisted, because of my background in the military and intelligence, that the #1 national security threat of this country is corruption. If it is terrorism, those foreigners, get documents through corruption. If it is unemployment, foreigners don't want to invest in this country because they fear about our reputation on corruption. They will not ask. They will just go to the Transparency International and they see we are 126. They have a second thought, should we invest or not? Are we together? If you look at lack of medical facilities, it is corruption. People still purporting to have supplied medicine, and then there is nothing that is supplied. You saw during that short drama, the fake certificates, the Public Service Commission, we were together with them, and we launched that exercise because of one thing. We want to safeguard the reputation of Kenya that its academic world or academic discipline, it is still reputable. If we don't do that, we are going to have a problem. And I have always talked about our time. Our time. Mnajua Kibarani Primary? How many of you know Kibarani Primary School? Ama nyinyi you are from up country, amjengea hapa ndani? This is where I schooled here, Kibarani Primary. Those days, when the exams, certificate of primary education, exams used to start on Tuesday and Wednesday. Monday, the Minister of Education brings papers, the examination paper, in a secured foiler, a plastic bag like the ones of G4S and whatever. They pass over to the headmaster signs that he has taken the examination papers. Do you know where they are stored? They are locked in the headmaster's drawers, na kafunguo kengine, hata ukikuja na kisu utang'oa hiyo funguo. Those exams never used to be stolen. We never used to have leakage, and nobody used to steal the exams. The issue of ethics and accountability and good governance. Today, when exams are being distributed, the minister will come, officially open the container. It has 3 padlocks. Padlock ya NSIS, ya GSU, ya DCI. Still those exams are stolen. What happened? Youth. What happened? The exams are stolen. The problem is not the Ministry of Education. The problem is not the government. The problem is the society. Because people steal those exams because there are parents who are more than willing to buy exams so that their kids do what? They pass. During our time, could you go and tell your father or your mother, Daddy, nipe pesa kuna exam hapa inauzwa mimi nataka nipate hii vitu? Would you be able to tell your father or your mother like that? So you can see the issue of corruption, Honorable Baya, when you say that kazi kwetu, the issue of corruption starts from the home. How you are brought up. And you men, especially the young men, hii mambo kudanganya wasichana hapa na kutia mimba na kutoroka mwache. If you find a beautiful girl, marry her. Mesikia? Mutaoa? Yeah. Ati you keep on saying ati mpaka nipate pesa. Oh, utapata pesa. Oh, then Mungu atakufungulia pole pole. Are we together? Hapana. Yeah, so the family unit is very important. You want to get married, umeona kasichana kazuri hapa, nenda kwao kapeleke maneno. So unatia mimba alafu unahepa. You are leaving that girl with a lot of problems. Single parenting, she is not employed. It's not easy in the modern world to bring up children. We see it. We are with these children in the same house, but we don't know them. They are always busy with gadgets. We tell them, chakula iko tayari kwamba daddy, ngoja kidogo nakuja. So you eat alone, like a fool. They don't come in and join you. They come and eat, or they just say, I have eaten somewhere. This is somewhere you don't know. So parenting has become a problem. And then within yourself as youth, you make it worse by not trying to be responsible as a young man. When you befriend a young lady and something happens, take responsibility. walk to their parents, say, yes, I'm broke, but I'm the one who did this. You never know, mzee anaweza kuonea huruma kupatia stipend kidogo ya kulisha hiyo mtoto. By the time you grow, something good happens. So we are talking of the youth getting misused. You are infiltrated by undesirable element. You are told join a terror group because this is a holy war, you'll go to heaven. You are told fast until death so that Jesus will come very fast and pick you, and you accept. You get the point? Shakahola. Do you know the meaning of Shakahola? You know I speak Kigiriama fluently. Mr. Baya. Shaka is doubtful, doubting. Hola, you'll get cured. Shakahola, doubt, but you'll get cured. It's Shakahola. So this undesirable group, undesirable friends, when you are at the university, you are part of a passage in life. It's not permanent. You will not be a student here permanently. One day you'll be out there. So what we are saying, tailor this political culture of this country, the youth. Because the youth is about, we have said, 2/3. Something very interesting. If the youth decides that they will work together and vote, they decide that you cannot be an MP in Kenya if you're under 40, you're under 50. I can see Honorable Baya is looking at me with a lot of, but imagine, let's say MCAs. You say, if you want to be an MCA, you should not be under 40. If you people make a decision countrywide, the whole country will have MCA under 40 years. Are we together? So, have the card, look at it critically, and vote wisely. Avoid this gray economy. That you think you can make money through betting. Betting all over the world, the people who benefit are the owners of the casino, not you. Out of 10 people, 1 will make it, 9, they fall down. Out of the 9, it's only the 4 who contribute, the one who has won. The 5 goes to the operator of the casino. That's why I saw it in Las Vegas, USA. Even as you enter the toilets, ziko hizo machines are betting. Can you imagine? Even at the airport there, as you are checking in to board the aircraft, there's a betting machine. So that unakamuliwa ile proper kabisa. By the time you leave there, you have nothing. Don't go to betting. Fake certificates, they will not help you. We have people who have gone abroad for training and they have fake certificates. They end up disappearing, they end up in frustration because if you had a D- in mathematics and a D in chemistry and D in biology, then you fake your documents and you go and do medicine degree, will you make it? Will you make it? You won't. You'll take off. But if you, let's say, there are some degrees you can fake, maybe theology, which other degree can you fake? Which other degree? Criminology, yeah. If you have a tendency of criminal, turn it the other way around. Now, say I'm a criminal, but now I want to be on the other side. And you can write very good papers, because these are subjects that you can read. You just need to be smart to write something. But chemistry, physics, engineering, it won't work. It won't work. You'll get frustrated. And that's why you cause a problem. If we start going into medicine and engineering with fake papers, it can be a very big problem to the society. Because one day you'll even come and kill your relative. Badala kudunga ile sindano ya dawa, unadunga ile sindano ya ng'ombe. Sasa, or the other way around, instead of giving him medicine to lower the high blood pressure, lower the sugar level, wewe umeenda kumpatia ile ya kuongeza sukari na jamaa naenda. So we need to look at the issue of also apathy. People say, Mimi, I cannot vote because there's nothing I can gain out of voting. But you're forgetting, if you don't vote, you have done a very big disservice to the country. By being absent, you have contributed to the problem of that county, of that ward, or of that constituency. So vote, the way I told you, vote wisely. When you look at issues to deal with material wealth, I know, how are you called now? Are you called Z generation or there's another word now? Huh? What is the latest terminology for the youth? Millennium or what? Huh? Z. Ikitoka Z itakuwa nini sasa? Tunarudi tena A. Itakuwa A generation. So the Z generation, don't see the professor there being moved by a Prado, and you start admiring also you want a Prado. There's a sequence in life. In life, there's a sequence. You have to start from, then you can try to be fast, but not very fast. Some of us get cheated. You are told a person who accumulates wealth, regardless of how he has accumulated it, we end up glorifying those people. You need to do a self-vetting of any leader. It's not only in politics. Even your church leader, when somebody says, I want to become a church leader, I want to be in the committee member of the mosque, check what is the background of this fellow. Are we together? You may get somebody who is very, very qualified. And this is where we go wrong, Honorable Sang and Honorable Baya. Most of if you read our newspaper, you hear this state corporation, there's lots of money. SACCO, there's lots of money. This organization, there's lots of money. This county, there's lots of money. Because in this country, we focus, when we employ people, we really focus on two issues. We focus on technology, what you have, if you are a doctor, if you're a sociologist, and we look at the academic papers. Japan has changed the system of recruitment. If they want to recruit 3-4 lecturers here, they will tell you, go to this hotel. You are booked for 2 weeks. You are booked for 2 weeks, and there are people there monitoring you, not through intelligence. You will be told there are guys here, they are in this hotel, they will interact with you, and you are told A, B, C, D, and there are 3 who are not, we are not going to introduce them. So, ukiingia chooni pale ile common toilet, ukitoka umesafisha mkono, umechukua ile matambara, you find it lazy to put in the waste bin, unatupa chini. They assess. They take you to a place, they look at how you eat, wanaona how you put nyama saizi and then you eat half. They say, this is an element of a greedy person. Scarcity. Amejaza nyama namna hii na amekula nusu tu. Instead of eating small amount and say, oh, this food is very delicious, can I add? So they move around with you. And they tell you, out of these 4 people, huyu hata msijaribu huyu, this man is not fit. This one, pia. Huyu na huyu, put them now in a boardroom to do the interview. Are we together? Put them in and they get the right person. They get the right person. Because they believe the interview that you come in the boardroom, people pretend. It's like something that is being, in sociology, that is taught. Courtship. You've heard of courtship? Nakana mwanamke ama mvulana, you know, I love you, you are so very important to me in my life, what? That is nonsense. And this WhatsApp love, emojis, kissing, what? When the guy marries you, you realize this is a monster. There's a problem now here. There's a problem, you are married to the wrong person. So interviews don't give proper reflection of who you are. So for politics, the youth, I'm being told, I'm remaining with how many minutes? 5 or 1? Oh, very good. So the youth, you have to do the vetting yourself of the people that you are going to vote for. That person, if he comes in as a right person, and I respect Honorable Baya, that's why I invited him here, because I know I'm not campaigning for him, but I know he does a lot in education. And when you vote for the right person, your life will improve. One day, your life will improve. It will take time. We are not saying that because the CEO EACC is at the university and he has talked, after 2 months, all your problems and challenges will be solved. It will take time. It is very easy to mess, and it is very difficult to bring things in order. The fight against corruption in this country, people will say, mtu anakuja kuongea tu hapa na bado hata corruption is everywhere. Yes, there's corruption in this country, and it's too much. But we have that clock. Kenyans wants to see the fight against corruption the way that clock, that stick for seconds move this way. That is not the way. It will take time. It will take time. The institutions, yourself, the leadership, if we work collectively, you will find that this country positively, slowly, just like the stick of an hour, you will find that we are heading to the right way in the fight against corruption. So we need to do also a lot of innovations and research, embrace social accountability. Yeah? In the county government, before the budget is approved, do you know that that budget is rolled out to the public to scrutinize? Are you aware of that? Or you are not aware? Have you ever bothered to check the budget of Kilifi County in the budget making process? I think, Honorable, there's a stage where there's public participation. Are you guys involved? Unasema si kazi yangu. Now, si kazi yako, it will hit on you. Participate. Check what are these programs. Query. Politicians are very clever. When they realize people are accountable, they work very hard. And I've talked about several places. Your county, I've talked about Murang'a County and Kangata. I've talked about Kisumu County. You can see there's a lot of public participation in the management of those counties. So, lastly, I would like to appeal to you that this fight against corruption, it is not only institutional, whereby EACC goes and take people to court. It's about us changing socially, us changing politically. The institutions must embrace the people's wishes. There must be funding, there must be a direction. And if we follow that kind of route, this country will be somewhere. I tell people that I've traveled about 50 countries in the world. Many Kenyans don't know this is a very beautiful country. And this country has got everything that can make us move and become like any other country in the developed world. Hii mambo ya kujicompare na some failed states hapa, region, na kusema we are the best. It's true we are the best. There are some areas here in the region, when you land at the airport, you realize we are very far. But Kenya can be farther than this. Kenya should be in the league of a country like Thailand, Korea, Malaysia, Singapore. These countries were more backward than us when we were independent. What went wrong? What happened? What went wrong, what happened is corruption. The corruption has got 3 horns. You have the political culture that need to be streamlined, the social culture that is the citizen, and the institutional culture that institutions should work and perform effectively. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I know it's very hot, and maybe if it was boring, I'm sorry. But you are free to ask questions. There'll be plenary here. And once again, Professor, thank you for availing this time for us. We feel very good that, for me, as somebody from Kibaoni, I don't want to say Kilifi now, because mnajua Kibaoni ni wapi, si ndio? As somebody from Kibaoni, I feel good that this is the place that I used to come and pick mangoes when I was a young boy, and today I'm sitting here addressing very, very highly intellectual people and young men. And for those remarks, Professor, thank you very much, and I wish you the best. And the Commission looks forward to work with Pwani University. If you have any ideas, you have anything that you want from us, we are ready to partner with you. The students, thank you very much for coming. It's not easy to come here and stay with this heat and listening to an old man talking about how the youth should operate. Yeah? But The good thing is that I used to be a youth, so I know your thinking. You have not been older, so you don't know my thinking. That is the advantage that I have. I always tell my kids that I'm like an animal that was in the zoo and thrown in the national park. So I'm hardened. Them, they are still in the zoo. They don't know how the national park looks like because it's rough there. When I say the national park, I mean life outside the university, where you have nobody to help you but yourself and your qualification and your honesty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we can appreciate the CEO better. And we can also appreciate all the other speakers. Thank you. At this juncture, I want to invite Mr. Ben Kitili.
It's time for spoken words. I'd like to invite Sumea from Pwani University with a spoken word poetry as we arrange for the panel discussion at the plenary. Sumea, karibu.
Sawa. So niseme nisiseme? Niseme nisiseme? Niseme nisiseme? Niteme nisiteme? So when it comes to words, all me in saying I hope is your words, I hope is your words zita create impact zitakuwa in vain. Skiza. So ilibidi wamehavi. So ilibidi wamehavi conversation. Nikubaya, maybe wanaweza get solution ya the current situation. Naongelea mabazu, economy, integrity, corruption na anti-corruption. So anti-corruption commission alikuwa mediator. Mimi nilikuwa hapo kando na wacheki kama movie kwa theater. So economy alikuwa amejaa mbaya, alikuwa na teta. Vile daily anapigwa ngeta. Akikuja juu anapromisiwa tomorrow will be better. So corruption anamcheki na zile looks za karibu Kenya, anampatia eye contact, anamcheki deep na eyes, anapanga the next move design, ata spit hizo lies. Economy anapia kona lot to say. Anadai amepimwa for so long, amepimwa saizi mayouth wako jobless, hopeless, wanakesha kama mapima. Wamempima hadi ame lose weight. Ngoja matumbo ashaumiza. Na anadai aje? When it rains it pours. When it rains kuna maji trickle from the leaves, but si yote ufika chini. Hivi ndo resources trickle. Aliye juu mgoja chini, aliye juu ni mwizi. So when it rains it pours. When it rains kuna maji trickle from the leaves, but si yote ufika chini. Hivi ndo resources trickle. Aliye juu mgoja chini, aliye juu ni mwizi mjambazi. Words cut deeper than a sword, ndo maana ukweli uuma. Akona kitu bigi kwa fork, but siwe utauma. Isi fiti na uma, ni private property ama ni mali ya umma. You design hizi resources trickle, si yote ufika chini. Aliye juu mgoja chini, aliye juu ni mwizi na nadai aje corruption aache wizi. Juu kwa kila department kuna wizi. Siku hizi degrees wana forge, na kuna graduate ako jobless mahali, na kuna form 4 leaver mahali, amekalia position si yake mahali. Si ati yako competent, ni jwali bonga na fulani nyuma ya tent mahali. Clearly integrity ko absent. Some of our leaders clearly see God sent. So corruption anamchekia nauliza, kuna ushahidi? Hizo ni propaganda tu, vitisho baridi, miusi ni tolee machozi, laumu wako viongozi, ni fisi kwenye kondoo ngozi. Uliza EACC, washainipata na makosa. So mi corruption nimekucheki by far na nitakumaliza uendifa. Utahama hii Kenya vile inafaa. Kwanza una nyingi hatia, tujasahau sisi mabahau, liba pesa za kujenga barabara zipita hadi daladala. Ngoja, economy mimi naulizaje? Kwanza history ilianzaje? Ulikuwa wapi EACC? Ulikuwa wapi wakati corruption ilikuwa commission ya kuiba dona kuzima yangu vision ikapatia perpetrators yao commission? Mlikuwa wapi dozi kipotea? Mlikuwa wapi hiyo corruption akiiba doza mahindi National Cereal Board? Mlikuwa wapi dozi kiporwa NYS? Mlikuwa wapi afya house ikiibiwa almost iende ICU? Mlikuwa wapi pesa za schemes zikidisappear, list ni ndefu, scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal. Sikiza economy, si ati hatuwajibiki. Tunawajibika tena sana. I hope maswali yako yote itajibika. So ni wangapi tumewaweka ndani? After some time umeachiliwa scot free. We are trying our best but corruption na hawa si wa makoti wamebayadi koti in the head or a split is or not. We are trying our best but kikulacho ni viongozi wetu tu, the people in power and who misuse mali ya umma. Kesi tukipeleka koti inachukua 10 years and most times mbali utupiliwa. Sikiza, tumejaribu sana mali ya umma. Hatukuacha ome. Tumerudisha 26.6 billion, 358 convictions na kesi nyingi kotini tumewasilisha. Well economy, you have all the right kuteta. We are trying our best to fisadi kuangamiza, because the truth is si wote inatuumiza. So daily si uambiwa serikali ni mimi na wewe. Na juu serikali ni mimi na wewe, pamoja tufanye kazi tuangamize ufisadi. Na juu serikali ni mimi na wewe, let's uphold integrity na judiciary and other stakeholders wasaidie kukill corruption, tuipush kwa section ya obituary isiwahi make headlines tena. Na juu serikali ni mimi na wewe, itachukua effort yangu mimi na wewe. So let's uphold integrity na judiciary and other stakeholders wasaidie kukill corruption, tuipush kwa section ya obituary isiwahi make headlines tena. Juu corruption ni mwizi mjambazi. So pamoja tuungane tufanye kazi tuangamize ufisadi. So napenda hii flag, niko na upendo. Napenda hii country na exercise uzalendo. That's why ufisadi nakataa na weka kando. Thank you.
Makofi tena kwa All right, so we are going to the discussion where we'll have panelists sitting in front of us. But before that, we'll invite each of them for 5 minutes to make their presentation. And the first panelist today is the governor of the county of Nandi, Governor Stephen Sang. I'll just give you a brief account of who he is. He's the governor of the county of Nandi. He's the chief whip of the Council of Governors, having been re-elected on the 9th of August 2022 for his second term. During the 59th Jamhuri Day celebration, he was fitted by the president by being awarded the Elder of the Order of the Golden Heart, the EGH, state commendation for outstanding services to the nation. In his first term, Governor Sang served as chairman of the Governors Intergovernmental Relations Committee after being elected as the second governor of Nandi County, which he was elected at the age of 32, by the way, becoming the youngest governor in Kenya since the adoption of devolution. Your Excellency, karibu.
Good afternoon. So thank you so much, Chief, the chief guest today, CEO Twalib from EACC, Professor Kaindi, the VC, Pwani University, all my colleague leader, area member of parliament and deputy majority leader in the National Assembly, all the discussants, students, good afternoon. So, I'm excited to be here, and particularly to have a discussion on the subject matter. Having sat here and listened to the keynote presentation and to the many opening remarks that were made by Professor together with the majority leader, and listening to the presentations through the presentations by the various entertainment sessions that we have had, somebody would be forgiven to think that the situation is completely hopeless. Completely hopeless. And even as I answer the question, youth and governance in Kenya, does integrity matter? Whereas I know for sure integrity matters, but facts speak to a different language. It's difficult to say that it actually matters based on the situation as it is, based on the presentation that was made here. However, it's important to note that we as the young people, or you as the young people, are the greatest victims of lack of integrity in a nation. We are the greatest victims. Yet again, from one of the presentations here, we hold the key to actually dealing with the situation. And I guess that is the reason why EACC and the team decided to work on these kind of sessions to have a discussion with the people that matter. If we have to deal with corruption, if we have to deal with matters of lack of integrity in our system, the solution does not lie in the 40 and above, or the 45 and above, or the 30 and above. It lies in the young people seated here today. And I want to say that the CEO has made a presentation on the various forms of corruption, various forms of situations in our country that present as matters of integrity or lack of integrity. And in that presentation, the political scene has featured more. Particularly, it has featured more in government, more in leadership, politics. Rightfully so, because we occupy that special place that if we were able to provide a solution as the political class, things would change. But my friend, I come from a background that speaks slightly differently. As indicated, I was elected the senator for Nandi at the age of 28. Clearly, that was about only 3 years after graduation from school. I didn't have money. Yet I was running against a candidate who had been in politics for 35 years, older than my age, with all the resources. But somehow, how did I find myself winning the seat? A lot of the young people made a decision, as you had indicated, CEO, that we must just get one of our own. I lead a county now where I am the governor doing my second term at the age of 39 now. I will be done with my second term at the age of 42. My senator is way under 40, actually about 35. My speaker is about 32. My women rep is about 30. Members of the county assemblies are generally a young population. It tells you that the young people can actually make a difference in a society. And again, it also indicates to you, and I was voted not just by the young people alone. In fact, I was more of a candidate by the elderly than by the young people, because I just reached out to the older generation and told them, you have had your chance. We have many challenges, you have had the opportunity to fix them. If you had the opportunity to fix them, you have tried what you are able to do. Why don't you give us an opportunity for us to sort out the challenges affecting us? And they gave us the opportunity across, from the women rep, from the senator, and members of parliament. That tells you that you can still be elected today in Kenya without resources. I am a testimony to that. In my first term as governor, again, I was fighting a crowded race of multi-millionaires. Somehow, by grace of God, the people of Nandi gave me the opportunity. My second term, again, exactly the same situation. In fact, I was the least endowed candidate throughout my 3 elections. But I'm here carrying exactly the same tag that every politician, carries, that this is generally the corrupt team. You indicated that the governors, for example, are it's the perception out there is that the governors are the most corrupt. And even a governor who does 2 terms must be going home with billions. But as CEO, half of my colleagues that retired in the last election as governors are living in abject poverty. Some of them retire. As they hand over the GVN vehicle, they actually have no vehicle, or the very old one that they had before they got into politics. Yet the perception here is that these guys have stolen. Maybe yes, if they stole, where did they put the money? It means that we have a completely corrupt system, that even that who steals end up spending with the same amount, and as you exit the office, you are exiting without those resources. So it tells you that the problem really lies within the political culture. Again, because I want to shorten, this corruption is not unique to Kenya. If you even go to developed countries, there is huge and grand corruption. But what makes the difference is that some of those countries can afford their corruption. They can afford. We cannot afford the level of corruption that we have in our country today. If you went to the US, if you went to the UK, and the stories that we read on newspapers and media, there are pockets of corruption, some grand, some small, but they are corruption. But in Kenya, based on our economy, we cannot afford. And I think the skit that was presented here clearly showed the impact of corruption. Maybe in the US, maybe in the UK and many developed countries, the impact of corruption may not be as direct as the one that we saw about an hospital here, where a patient has to die on account of an unqualified medical officer that was employed on the basis of corruption. And therefore it tells you we as a country cannot afford corruption. But this corruption is everywhere. It is in government, it is in our churches, it is in the media, and I'm happy Linus is here. It's true. Stories that you see on headlines have a price. If you want your story to be on the headline, you will have, you meet the price, you will have it on the headlines. So the story is, even within the media, there is corruption. Within politics, there is corruption. Within institutions given the responsibility to deal with corruption, including EACC, there is a challenge. There is corruption in there. We have been, across our political lives, we have been a subject of interrogation by EACCs, by the controller of budget, by auditor general, and the stories that go on in there are ridiculous. These are institutions that are supposed to fight corruption, but my friend, the story is different. You will find in the private sector, there is overemphasis on corruption within public sector, but there is huge corruption in the private sector. You will find a CEO of a company and the director of finance is the son. Okay, it's not public, it's not a public institution. But if that position was competitively filled, most likely a more deserving person would have gotten the job. He would be able to be more productive. That private entity would grow. It would generate more job opportunities and more wealth for the nation. But what does that happen? It never happens because there is also corruption within the private sector. We have also legislations and policies within our country that encourages corruption. And a very good example I will give to Alib. The procurement laws in this country says you give to the lowest bidder. And if you are the lowest bidder, even by $1 million, you get the contract. But again, the same laws allows you to do variations of the contract. So what happens? Somebody decides to bid low, knowing that I will have an opportunity to revise and ask for variations of up to 25%. Honestly speaking, if you can allow a variation up to 25%, why can't I quote the lowest here, knowing that I will still have an opportunity to do variation? That is law that allows us, the legal regime that has allowed us to, provide an opportunity for corruption. Budgeted corruption. How many of us can be able to look at the budgets of our counties, of our country, of the university, and all those institutions, and understand? If you, for example, you have allowed me to do a budget of 50 million for foreign trips, and tomorrow you do an headline that, Nandi County, MCAs in Kilifi County, in Mombasa County have gone on a foreign trip. But how did you allow them to budget for that resource? It means that we have opportunities for budgeted corruption in our country today. Cases before EACC, before courts have collapsed, on account of a law that was made by National Assembly to give powers to one institution and give another power to another institution. So one investigates, the other one then prosecutes, and if they don't speak to each other and the other one decides, no, I think I am not taking up this matter, the case collapses. And it is the law that has allowed that. So we must be able to be honest as a nation and say, if we are honestly and truly tired of the level of corruption in our country today, we must be willing to travel the journey and ask ourselves, how do we deal with this situation? These institutions given the mandate to deal with corruption, including the courts. Nowadays, it is made a taboo in our country today for you to criticize the judiciary. That the judiciary is independent. Legislature is independent. The executive is independent. We are criticized day in, day out, called names, investigated, asked to come and record statements here and there. It happens to members of the legislature in our country today. But have we ever seen any attempts to deal with that level of corruption in our judiciary? So everybody says the judiciary is, independent, you don't go there. But the truth is there is a lot of corruption in the judiciary. So as a country, if we are honest that we want to deal with corruption, then we must all be hungry about corruption, agree as a nation that we must change things. As you young people go to vote, and I agree with you, let the people eat the money. My competitors were giving huge sums of money in the campaigns. Some of the young people are picking the monies and they would donate to me. This one, can you get fuel for your vehicle? We are supporting you, but they have taken the money from, those who are dishing out money, and they gave it to me for me to go and use in my campaigns. It is possible for us to deal with corruption in our country. But my parting shot is this. We cannot afford the level of corruption that we are seeing in our country. In Kenya, it is a matter of life and death as was presented. If we can be able to be angry enough as a nation, it then means we can be able to send a clear message to Owen and his team in the National Assembly that this legal framework that is giving us a problem in dealing with corruption, let us review. If it is legal change, let us change so that we can be able to have a straightforward manner of dealing with corruption. If it means, and then again, let us also give timelines to the processes of fighting corruption. If it is a corruption case, what is the difficulty in us investing as a country in enough judicial officers and saying that corruption cases can be dealt with in 3 months or 6 months? Otherwise, we are seeing right now governors who are investigated 10 years ago, their cases are still going on in court. Even by the time you make a judgment and you realize that there needs to be a return of some of the looted resources, those resources are no longer there. So can we be able to be honest as a nation and speak to ourselves and appreciate that corruption is eating to the core of our nation? And I will conclude, my brother, with the issue that you are dealing with yesterday here, drugs and alcoholism and drug abuse in our country today. Some corruption cannot wait, particularly a situation where you allow drugs to get into our country. The people are known, the barons are known, the officers in the government that are supporting this engagement are known. Nobody wants to go after them. Yet these drugs are eating into the soul of our nation today. So we can deal with economic corruption, yes. But if there is something that is as urgent, and my brother, you are almost leaving office CEO in not so long, this cannot wait. I wish we can be able to deal with the opportunities and the persons who are allowing drugs to get into our country to eat into these young people in our nation today. We must be able to deal with this, and because it is corruption and it is eating to the soul of our nation. Does integrity matter? Yes, it matters. But must, like the story of the hummingbird, we may look helpless. The situation may look hopeless. But do your bit. As a governor, I will do my bit. As at EACC, do your bit. The media, do your bit. Let everybody contribute. In the small way as you contribute, we will all have the sum total of the fight against corruption, and we may get things better. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Governor Sang. Discussant is a gentleman who has mentored a lot of us at the media fraternity. He's an award-winning journalist, having practiced over the last 25 years. He's currently serving as a group editorial director of Royal Media Services, which operates among other broadcast platforms, Citizen TV, Ramogi TV, Inoro TV, and Radio Citizen. He previously worked as general manager of the broadcasting division of the Nation Media Group, and is a former president of the Kenya Editors Guild. Ladies and gentlemen, Linus Kaikai.
Thank you, Ben. The CEO of the EACC, Mr. Twalib Mbarak, Governor of the good county of Nandi, the Honorable Sang, MP Owen Baya, the Vice Chancellor of Pwani, Professor Kahindi, and the team from EACC, and students of Pwani, good afternoon. I know and hope that in the panel that I'll be tasked to answer specific questions with regard to the place of the media in the conversation about integrity and even the whole broader question of corruption. But very briefly, I just want to start by agreeing with Governor Sang on a number of fundamental issues. The first one, he said that we can no longer afford corruption. I think the numbers support that position, Governor. Corruption is no longer sustainable in this country, and for a number of reasons. I just want to cite one or two. The first one is it is killing the future of the country. We have come here today and we are spending the morning speaking to the most innocent side of the whole chain. And the youth at the back at this point, please shout and say, we are innocent. Let's hear that. Because you are. You are the wrong people in the room. But I think because of the selection of the topic, which is youth and governance, does integrity matter? The question, the obvious answer should be, yes, it does. But in Kenya, does it really count? Does integrity pay? And what is integrity about? Integrity is about the finer things that none of us are taught in school. The small little things that really matter. They are taught to us mainly by our mothers and our fathers. And when they let us out, the next people who teach us about integrity are actually our religious organizations. You get it in the mosque through a teacher of religion. You get it in the church through a teacher of religion. They are soft issues. The EACC does a very difficult job because their first duty is actually ethics. Ethics. So this is where our mothers and the fathers failed. The EACC is supposed to take over. Asiye funzo na mamake? Yes. Ulimwengu is supposed to teach us about ethics. But in this country, there is a sufficient amount of frustration around this whole question of ethics. I've heard it in university halls, I've heard it in public, I've heard it in our television and radio platforms. People saying Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 should be deleted in its entirety because it no longer matters. And the frustration arises from failure to implement some of the principles that are there. And I just want to boil it down to one point. In Kenya, lack of ethics, absence of ethics in the execution of public duty, and corruption has not had consequences. That is the bottom line. Corruption pays in this country. I know Governor spoke about his story, and we honor that because that's a very rare story, where you don't have to spend money. The truth is, the cost of running for office in this country is very expensive. But I want us to distribute the blame properly on both ends. It is demand that usually triggers supply. So if the demand is high at the back of the room, we'll do everything at the front of this room to ensure the supply is sufficient. Youth, we know very well the culture of something. I was in a place where, and Governor, maybe, I hope you haven't encountered that, where to speak in an event, you have actually to pay someone at the back of the room. Otherwise, they'll shout you down. You will not be able to speak. I think that is the level corruption has permeated our society. Because we think the political culture here at the top is organized to steal. Let me tell you, the reception end also is increasingly getting highly organized. It is very organized. You are told there's a group of youth here. There's a group of women here. There's a group. Guys, this is corruption. So, I'm glad that we're having a conversation with the youth. And the one thing we can do with the youth is to try and say, where do we draw the line for the future? But I'll give you a few tips. The first one is record keeping. Draw the line, but keep the records well. We want you to be the generation that will send to jail perpetrators of corruption. We want you to be the generation whose jails will be packed with the oldest convicts of corruption. And how do you do that? You keep records of what they are doing now. From your positions of helplessness, keep your records. Because one day you'll be in charge of the EACC. One day you'll be in charge of the very weak Office of Directorate of Public Prosecutions that is dropping cases, corruption cases, faster than you are dropping. Let me not complete that one. So one day, and you know this is how human nature works. The current generation of leadership is replaceable. It will be out of office at some point. And that is why I'm inviting the youth. Just work hard in school, work hard, get the qualifications you are looking for. You will replace all of them. And be better prosecutors, be better governors, better journalists, better everything. Because that way you'll be able to change the society. You should be able to punish corruption. When the CEO Twalib was speaking about joining the military in 1984, a story just came to mind of another military person by the name Buhari, General Buhari. General Buhari in 1983, the 31st of December, overthrew the government, civilian elected government of Shehu Shagari, because it was very, very corrupt. In July, as Twalib was training very hard to become a soldier, General Buhari, who was the military chief of Nigeria, started tracking down cabinet ministers of the Shehu Shagari government. And one of them was called Umaru Diko, who was the transport minister. And Umaru Diko, the story goes, liked traveling to London with briefcases of cash. Just the same way our people also like traveling with briefcases of cash to other places. Corruption is. And what Buhari was to try and get Umaru Diko. He did something very spectacular. He organized his team to, it said, a few Israelis who know how some of these things are done. And Umaru Diko had run to London, was abducted, put in a crate, diplomatic bag, and he tried to smuggle him through the Stansted Airport in London. Now, in this crate, there are two people, Umaru Diko, and there was a doctor who had actually injected him with anesthetics so that he can sleep right through the journey. And the doctor was also supposed to travel in the same crate to make sure he's alive. There was only one mistake. Someone saw the abduction and reported to the police. And so the police moved to Stansted Airport, and the Nigerian cargo plane was told before it takes off, can we see what is in this crate? They checked the crate and found that there is a whole minister and a doctor in it, and the mission collapsed. Youth, think of better methods to bring back some of those guys when your time comes, which is very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linus. Our next discussants, and I'd like to urge our discussants to make their presentations quite short so that we can go to the plenary. Dr. Asma Awadh, an accomplished leader with a proven track record for over 18 years in the fields of conservation, impact, corporate governance, and financial sustainability. Throughout her career, she has held various positions in both local and international organizations, including Watamu Marine Association, WWF, AKF, Soil Association, and CMS Dugong MOU. Karibu, Daktari.
Our chief guest, CEO of EACC, our esteemed guests, the governor, His Excellency, my MP, my area MP, Honorable Baya, the VC of the university, our funders of this event, I understand, UNODC, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished faculty and students, good afternoon. I will just get to the point. I was telling the moderator that when the only lady that is speaking is coming, that's when you say, time, let's be brief. But it's all right. I will be brief because the people who came before me talked a lot about what is integrity and why integrity. So I will speak a bit about my experience in the same on why integrity matters. From what was said and from my own experience, I can say that, one, it is a bedrock of a functioning society. I want to give the students and also the people who are here one functioning example of something that is very transparent and has very high integrity in Kenya. I was thinking of COOPS, the University Placement Program. After you get your grade in Form 4, you go to COOPS when they open their servers and you select courses very openly. And it tells you, oh, you have selected this course, but you do not meet minimum requirements. So you get a chance to revise that and only select the courses that you meet minimum requirements. It's a very open process. And then from that, you are left with 6 courses that you know for sure these are the ones I want to do. And you come here knowing what you want to do and following a career path that you want. This is very different from about 24 years ago when I was applying for university, where when you were in Form 4, you fill in some forms and you're being told the smartest become doctors, and then you others, maybe accountants, I don't know, maybe something else. So you just fill in, and because you think you are smart or you want to impress your parents, many people fill in medicine, but then you are called for a BA something, which turns out to be very good later, but at the moment, at that time, you don't know what it entails. So I think while some areas have a lot of improvement to, have a lot of things to improve to, there's some areas in Kenya that are working that we can, use to improve on. I see also integrity as something that is essential for sustainable development. My background is environmental conservation. I can give examples of projects that had an environmental impact because there was a compromise on integrity. Very recent ones, there was the dam, Solai Dam or something. So a dam was constructed, and they're supposed to be among the licenses is the environment license, where an environmental expert is supposed to say this is not the right place or this is the level of water and so on. But because of somebody compromising their integrity, they give a wrong report. And then what happened, I remember that dam when it collapsed, I think more than 40 people died because it was built at a place that was obviously going to cause havoc. Another example I remember is Nakumatt, UK, which was built in the peripheries of Nairobi River. And then in 2016, the Nairobi River overflew, and Nakumatt had to be closed. Now, these are things where they could have been avoided had we been honest and truthful. But of course, if you are not, we pay very heavy prices. The other reason I think integrity matters is that it fosters cohesion and unity. I also come from Kilifi town, and I saw this town from the time when I was young. It was a village. And in my last graduation, oh, by the way, I have a PhD from this university. I graduated just last year. And my MP was present in that university, and he was welcoming the graduates, telling them, you don't need to leave Kilifi. We are welcoming you to open businesses, to exist. We are giving you a good environment. A cohesive society is a society that can thrive and do well. And that can only happen when, when you have a society with integrity. While I was thinking about about coming to speak here, I did some, background check, and I came across this study that was published in 2016 by Aga Khan Development Network that said that 50% of Kenyan youths at the time said that it doesn't matter how one creates wealth as long as they get wealth. At the same time, 30% of the youth that were interviewed say that they thought corruption is profitable. I know it has been talked already. You see, like we have been given this example, you see the VC in a Prado and you think you want to get out of this place and drive a Prado the next day. It doesn't happen. There is no quick success. Success requires a compounding effect. As it has been mentioned by the speakers before me, you will suffer, of course, when you are meant to suffer. You are meant to develop character. You are meant to develop integrity. The shortcuts are going to divert you from your natural path, if I may say so. You may think you are succeeding, but there's a difference for somebody who didn't get a good job in their 20s and then started working their way up in their 30s and become successful in their 40s. And then somebody else who did too well in their 20s and then lives a miserable life, hiding from police and hiding from the family and hiding from society. That is not the kind of life that we should want to lead. Students, I want us to listen to this, from this chart, to start working on our personal growth. In your 20s, work on your personal growth. You are here to learn, to get a bachelor's degree. You are here to get some basic skills, but you're also here to start your personal growth. What are your personal values? You need to have personal values. Currently in Kenya, every corporate institution is required to have personal values, is required to have philosophies, it's required to have vision and so on. So what is your personal vision? What is your personal mission? What are your values? When you are born from a religious or a traditional society, you are told, you are a Muslim, so your values are Islamic. You are a Christian, so your values are Christian. But what are these Islamic values? What are these Christian values. For example, I'm a Muslim, so I know, wake up at 5, go to the mosque, put on your buibui, fast in Ramadan. Excellent, you've done very well. What about your character and conduct? Those are also very important aspects of your values. And as the CEO of EACC had mentioned, Warren Buffett talked about, how to employ. He talked about competence, attitude, and integrity. What I know is, from my experience, when you leave the university, the first jobs you get because of the degree you have. You're an assistant, you're an intern, you're an assistant in the IT department because you have an IT degree. You're an assistant in the accounting department because you have an accounting degree. But to move up, now they look at your attitude and your motivation. How well do you work with others? Do you relate well with others? Are you somebody who wants shortcuts and take the work of others as your own success? And then finally, when you are getting into management and leadership, that's where integrity is really questioned. Where I work, for a management position like mine and onwards all the way to the international leadership, before you are not even interviewed, what they do, they just do a character assessment. They go behind your back, ask somebody who reports to you. So we know Asma is very good at working with donors. We know Asma is very good at writing these proposals and these financial reports and what. But how is she with people? Does she come to work? Does she, use her time? They ask these questions, and it's not just me. I have been asked a question about one of my bosses. And because at that level, if you are 38, 40 and above, we know that you can do this. You have already worked, you have proven yourself. But to get into that leadership position, integrity is very important. Now, my parting shot, I think I'm just reinforcing what the governor said, the story of the hummingbird. If young people, you have not known the story of the hummingbird, it was said by Wangari Maathai famously. And the story is about taking your own initiative, no matter how small you are. The hummingbird is a very small bird, and then the story is, of course, it's a folk tale that there was a big fire in the forest with elephants and these other big animals, and then the hummingbird said, I am small, but I'm going to get a drop of water to drop in the fire, a drop of water to drop in the fire. And as much as that is the little I'm doing it with so much faith, and hopefully it will work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daktari. Our second last discussant I want to invite to the podium is Professor Francis Wakabi. He is an associate professor of philosophy, the Department of Philosophy and Religious Studies here at the Pwani University. Professional areas of interest are ethics, critical and creative thinking, philosophy of education, and quality assurance. Prof, karibu.
Thank you very much. The CEO, EACC, thank you so much for organizing all this for us. Thank you, our young governor. You give morale to all of us that it is possible. Thank you, our able MP. We are happy to have you with us. Thank you, our other guests, and thank you, our VC, for hosting us. I'm not going to philosophize, so don't get worried. But I want to pick on something that is taken for granted. Our CEO told us that while they are investigating corruption and they get into minutes where deals were made, there Now, the line I'm taking is this. There are certain resources for fighting corruption that we have taken for granted. And one of them, one of them is spiritual resources. Spiritual resources. Spiritual resources. So I want to argue for spiritual competence. And I think one of the calamities we have is that there is a lot of talk of religion, but we are totally ignorant of God, many of us. So let me begin. I'm a Christian, and you'll allow me to use references from the Bible to make my point. Let's listen to this. In 2 Timothy chapter 3, I'll begin from verse 2 to 5. It reads, "For people," let me begin from verse 1. "You should also know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times." Verse 2, "For people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and have no interest in what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God." Now note this, verse 5. "They will act as if they are religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly." This is what I'm saying. I've read a lot of theories of ethics in philosophy. There's a lot of contestation in the theories. So you wouldn't know which theory to go by, because they are all competing and they cannot all be true. Let me tell you, I have realized that in religion there is consistency. Let me explain. If you read, I will use the Bible. The Bible tells us that the way we are made, we have an inner self and an outer self. The outer self is the body we see. The inner self is the mind and the spirit. Now, the Bible says the way we were made by God, He began with the outer self, the body. Without breathing into us, into the body that was lifeless, nothing could work. So the inner self comes from the breath of God, and that is what makes things work. Not the outer. The outer is dragged by the inner. Unfortunately, because of time, because of corruption. And do you know how it began? Einstein said, you can't solve a problem at the level at which it was created. The problem of corruption was created when we disconnected with the power that drives the inner life. We went after the things we could see, the things we could touch. And that is actually the method behind corruption. You don't care about life that we can't manufacture, however well we have advanced scientifically. We can't manufacture life, but we are destroying it every day as we seek things that we can touch. Now, the moment we disconnect with God, and you can see from the verses that I have read, you cannot love God. You know, God says, if you love me, you must love people. There are no two ways about it. But now the Bible says you can't love money and love people. You will either love one or hate the other. The very Bible says also, you cannot be one who cares about people and you really put money first. If you look at how we raise families, we treasure the life of our children, the life of